G'day everyone, my name is Oz and I'm from down under Australia. Now today I'd like you to meet someone who has spent many years researching and working to help improve children's learning abilities. His work is so good, he's even been recognised internationally in the top 200 of innovative learning programs for children in the Oxford-Cambridge Guide to Excellence. Now that's pretty good, isn't it? His name is Dr. Leonard Reynolds, but I'm just going to call him Leo. Now in the last few years, Leo's created 20 readers like this one for primary age children. It's called Mr Meerkat's Poetry for Children, and it has 60 really fun poems and really cool pictures in it too. Now for the teachers out there, the readers are even on the Renaissance Mayon reading program. Now, what makes Mr Meerkat's Poetry for Children really special is that not only does Leo know how children learn, he has made it fun, and it's Australian, with lots of Aussie animals to help children learn heaps. Now, I have some questions for Leo, and the first question is, well, it's about Mr Meerkat. He's not Australian. So, Leo, what inspired you to create the Mr Meerkat character?
Well, Oz, I felt I needed to develop a persona. I needed to become a character that children found interesting and would take an interest in reading the poetry. I needed to develop an image of a storyteller, a sophisticated storyteller, and so I came up with the concept of Mr Meerkat. It was in talking to the talented Australian artist Ashley Manley about developing the website that we thought about how when children are looking at the website, Mr Meerkat could be looking back at them. He could open the blinds of the window a little bit to say hello, and we could paint lovely blue skies and palm trees in the background. So I don't mind putting on a coat, putting on a hat, putting on some glasses, and becoming a Mr Meerkat in order to have children take an interest in reading the poetry.
Oh wow, that is really interesting. So, what is Mr Meerkat Poetry about?
Mostly, Oz, my poems are little stories. I look at the world around me and I make up stories and often add humour in order to create interest and encourage children to enjoy reading. In the 20 reader series, I start off with simple ideas and structures for kindergarten and grade 1 and 2 children, like the Cocky in the Tree poem. There is a cocky in the tree, sometimes he comes to talk to me. Then there's the one about the kitten, with a young child playing with the kitten and the ball of wool. Or the one about the child walking with her sister Jane on the road in the rain to school. As it progresses, I move to more complex ideas and word structures, like the pirate. Look smart, ye swabs, yelled the captain to the wheel. The wind has changed. We swing about. This storm will test our keel. Then there's the one about Mum and the younger brother storming the teenage older brother's dirty room just to find an old coffee cup that was now full of a swamp. And there's the one about the vagabond, where the man is sitting on a wall outside a church waiting for the service to finish, because what the people will call refreshments when they come out, he will call breakfast. I use different styles of prose in order to create a mood or stir a response. I would like to involve the reader in the poems that they're reading. I like to see children enjoy poetry and see it as a form of literature to be enjoyed.
Oh, cool. Hey, I noticed that the poem is like especially Australian. It's what we'd call true blue or fair dinkum Aussie stuff. Why have you done that?
Aussie Australia is a great place to write about. From its rainy southeast to its snowy mountains to its rainforests and bushland and endless mountain ranges, there are lots of interesting places and characters. Then there's the endless golden sand beaches and the amazing blue sky and the turquoise sea. And of course there are the lovable Australian animals, the koalas and kangaroos, the cockatoos and the kookaburras. Let me show you. Wait a minute, yeah, so this is Dorothy, aren't you? Want some more? And she's a wild kookaburra. She's only a year old. Well, yes, I know. What are we doing inside? Yes, but they are very friendly. Yes, they are, but she's a bit concerned. Anyway, she's such a character, I think she deserves a whole book, not just a poem. What do you think? Shall I take you back outside? That's my girl. That was Dorothy's first time in front of a camera, Oz, so she was a bit nervous. Many of the poems I write about include Australian animals, but most of them are about everyday events and adventures that fill a child's day. So while the poetry is set in Australia, it's still very easy to relate to.
Oh yeah, Australia is a great place and the pictures are really cool. Hey, Leo, what is your purpose in writing the Mr Meerkat poetry?
Wow, Oz, that's a good question. What is the purpose of the Mr Meerkat poetry? Well, if I said it was to encourage children to read and improve their literary skills, I'd be telling the truth. But I've discovered there's a more fundamental question to be asked when we're teaching literacy, and that is, how do children learn? Or more correctly, how does the brain learn? Everything we see, we smell, we touch, we taste, is all taken into the brain as part of the learning process. See, the brain perceives something, then it interprets it, and then it translates it across the brain. So when we learn something successfully, the brain releases an endomorphin, a pleasure chemical, to encourage us to learn more. And so what we learn today is built upon what we learnt yesterday. So in developing the Mr Meerkat poetry, I also discovered that the brain likes multi-feeds of information. So I put together interest, humour, rhythm, rhyme, metre, illustration, all as part of that multi-feed process in order to encourage children to enjoy the reading and to learn literacy.
Oh, all that stuff about the brain. Oh, I wish I had a brain. Hey, Leo, why did you choose poetry to teach literacy?
As for me, teaching literacy is about teaching wordcraft. And I believe I can do more with teaching wordcraft through poetry than any other form of literature. The first poem I wrote for this poetry series was about the frog's rainy day. I was writing a geography topic called Water in the World, and the subtopic was water, water everywhere. But as I looked at this poor frog hanging onto a leaf on a branch in a rainstorm, I thought, well, I could turn that into a poem. So I wrote, water, water everywhere. It even falls on my hair if I dare look outside when it rains. Do you think birds catch a train when it rains? Water, water everywhere. The sea is full of it. I wonder where seagulls sleep. It's not at the beach. They get their hair wet out there, do you think? Do you think they catch trains when it rains, when there's water, water everywhere? So that freestyle creates quite a different sense of imagery or working words to create the descriptions we want. So I can use poetry to teach literacy in a way that I can't use other forms of literacy. And all of this is actually in the books that have been prepared for teachers' manuals. So all the metre, the rhyme, the descriptions, the questions have all been put together to enable teachers to actually use poetry as a form of teaching literacy.
Oh, that's so cool. It makes me want to go and read some more. Hey, Leo, last question. What led you to partner with Myon?
Myon Oz is a fantastic reading program for children. Children can decide what they want to read by looking up a subject or their grade level or their reading level. They can pull something up on their screen and begin reading like it's a karaoke program where the little mouse jumps along and the words that they read. They can stop at any time and look up a dictionary or take notes. The program will let them pick up where they left off. It's a great program, and of course it's available across the world with so many books available for children to read. The Mr Meerkat readers are all now on Myon, but the program itself is supplementary to the Myon program because it also comes in book form, in the teachers' manuals or in the readers, so teachers can use the books in class discussions, in groups or singular reading. They can actually touch the material or see it on the board, and so the teacher can actually use the material to guide the learning process. They can work through what poetry is, what the subject matters are, go through the discussion questions. So I see that Myon and the Renaissance Learning Program works well with the Renal Learning Program as an educational tool to help children improve their literacy.
Wow. Oh, thank you, Leo, for that. And thank you, everybody, for watching. that concludes our interview with Dr. Leonard Reynolds, who's a really smart guy, by the way. Oh, yeah, and I hope you buy his stuff. All right, bye everyone.